On today's episode, we're going to go through Microsoft Project Resource Usage. I'm going to break down how to utilize the tool and get everything you can out of managing your resources. First, let's open an example project. This one we've been working on. It's just a templated project that has some resources and a little bit of logic. So we're on the Gantt chart view now. There's a few different ways to access the resource usage sheet that we're going to go over. One being on the task tab and drop down, select resource usage. It's right there. Or if we go back to the Gantt chart to kind of reset things, you can go to resource, have the drop down to resource usage. Same thing. Oops, excuse me. All right, so this is the resource usage view. I have tabbed this one to show that we have 5 resources, an unassigned resource, and then resource 1, 2, 3, and 4. What you'll want to do is expand on these. So you can either click the little triangle and expand these down, or you can go to view, outline, and all subtasks, and it'll open up all these. So to really understand this, I'm going to try to make it as clear as possible, but once you figure it out, it's an extremely useful tool. So what it does, it collects all of your tasks into just the resource. So for instance, resource 1 has to review the contract and also review project statement of work, so on. So it has these specific tasks that were already on our Gantt chart. So if you looked on the Gantt chart, you would find that task assigned to that resource. Okay, and then on the right here, if you can't see it, occasionally it kind of hides over here. So just select the mouse where this symbol of a back and forth arrow comes, and just pull it over and look at this here. This shows your resource on almost like call it maybe like a bar chart. I can't think of the exact name of this, but it gives a total up top. So if you look here, resource 1 goes across here, and then this gray bar is all resource 1 work. So you can see resource 1 has 16 hours of work. And then work, you can hover over and define it. It's basically man hours is what this is saying. It's saying however many individuals on that project or on that task times the duration. So that's where 8 comes from, because we don't have on this schedule how many of individuals working on that task. It just represents 1 and then 8 hours. That's an 8-hour day. Or for this one is 16. So it's 16 because of the calendar around that. So it's 2 8-hour days. So there's really a lot that goes in that. But that's a good thing. That's a good thing because it's calculating how much work is done on that certain day and how much that resource is doing. So it's a really great tool. So on top of the schedule being the software itself and showing that there's days tasks are going along, it shows how many man hours you have per day. So you can see here that you have 8 hours of work going on this day we'll highlight this here for you. Establish risk management plan, and then also there's 8 hours on this task, perform scope planning. So there might be a situation where there's only one person doing this, so this is not going to work. And that's what's showing in red here. So if you go back to your resource or task, either one, just your drop down to go to your resource sheet, we see that resource 1 has resource 1 has 1 unit. So it's representing 1 person working at that time. We can talk more about that later. Send a comment if you need me to break down more on this video. But let's go back to this resource usage, because this is really one of my favorite tools. So I do a couple things when I do this. When I first lay this out and I'm trying to dictate, am I overloading resources? I won't work, certainly, so I know how many man hours is being performed for that task. And then I simply add I add the WBS, but it's a little unique. So if you just select WBS, it's going to give you the hierarchical number representation. To simply describe that, if you go to the Gantt chart, you can see that under View, Outline, Level 1, this is all 1, and then this first one, PMI process, is Level 1. These are Level 2, so it'd be 1.1, 1.2, so on, and then broken down under there, so this would be 1.3, 1.2.3.1, 1.3.1.1, and you can kind of see that represented here. So going back to under View, you need to be under Task. So go under here, Resource Usage. So you see that personally, I don't get a lot out of that hierarchy to be represented there. So for me to show the WBS, I use a column called Task Summary Name. So this gives you the last level of WBS. So for instance, this one is in the Scope Management Plan WBS, and so on. It shows all of those. So that's great when you're planning an outage and there's equipment involved. It's a great way to see that. So another one I like to use in that is the start date. Just typing in start, and then I like to see, sometimes I like to see the finish. You can add it. I mean, you can certainly add anything you like here. It's several different options, but let's just, for size purposes, let's just do task summary name and the start. What helps me visualize this, let's go back, is to sort this whole list by start date. So it gives a almost like a waterfall looking effect. So let's go here, sort earliest to latest. That way you can see, we have to look here. So this is a little hard sometimes. So the first task is in January 2025. We're in December 24 here. So we need to pull this mouse over to January 23rd. Okay, so that's when our first task start. So you can see here, every day we're working 8 hours, 8 hours. There's a weekend involved. So we're good. Let's say resource 1 is just that 8-hour resource. And then we're doing this task and so on, 8. We're good. We have 8s all the way across the board. Well, look, right here we have 16 hours. If we can, this is an indication where when you're planning and scheduling this project, can you do both of these at the same time with one resource? Can you be in two places at once? Or can you gain an extra resource? If you can't gain an extra resource, this is when you get down to scheduling and moving the tasks. So in this situation, logic aside from this task, you would need to find a day where there's nothing going on, like right here. Look, so we've got too much loaded up on this day, and we got this task. Maybe let's move this task to the day where there's nothing going on. And the way we do that is you would, let's go back to our day that we have too much going on. Go here, and I would first see if there's any predecessors or successors. What's the logic in this? And there's a way to do it on this screen. So what I like to do is go to View, and then this box here, Details. You select this, This is giving you, it's selecting for you, in this case, the resource form, which it doesn't do anything for me. I prefer a different one. So you click the drop down box. There's several in here. And if the one you don't like is in here, I like task details form a lot. But if you go under more views, there's several in here. You can pretty much find the one you want, or I believe you can make a custom one. So I like task detail form. And then what I like about it, if you use this form, this again doesn't do a lot for me. If you right click and do predecessor successors, you can then see where the logic is in this. So its predecessor is task ID 12, initiation, process complete, and then the successors are so on. So let's pull this down a little bit just to give us some room here. So I would analyze that first and know that I have a predecessor. And let's say we want to go to that task and look at it first. So in order to just snap right there, what you can do, just click right here. Click Gantt chart. Oops, I'm sorry. So that was something to notice. So we were clicking in this bottom tab. See how it changed to Gantt chart here? Just be careful of that. It may not happen to you. We were in view tab. I think the software gets confused at what you want it to do. This situation would be a little confusing to me. So let's just kind of reset. Let's get rid of details. Let's make sure we click in here. We click the details. We don't want resource form. We want task details form. We click in here. We do predecessor, successor. We're clicked in here. I think that's what happened before. So let's click out of here. So we're actually clicking the task. And then now let's go to our Gantt chart and see how it snaps us to our Gantt chart. If you caught it, I told you before that it would bring you right to that task, and it didn't. Well, this is really important. It didn't because we have the outline structure for level 1, right? We only opened one of them. Remember when I was going through some of the examples and opening some? You want all, or maybe I didn't have them all open or the right ones. So in order, when we want to snap back to the Gantt chart, you want to go to outline and you want to view all subtasks. And then I would also clear the filter, because what if we had an incomplete task filter or something on there that's hiding this task from finding it. So let's go back and try it one more time. Let's go to resource and then resource usage. And we were talking about this one. And we want to snap to this task and see where it is. And also, you want to make a note of where we thought it needs to be. All right. So we thought we had a light day on this Wednesday. So this is the 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th. I'm sorry, February, not February 23rd. And then the 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th. So we're looking for February 26th to move this to, because we have an open day. All right, so let's go back to what we were trying to do earlier. You're going to go to task and then click the Gantt chart. And look, it brings us right to there. So there, let's just level this task and put it on February, I believe I said the 26th. That's a Wednesday, okay? So we just moved that there, and that moved. Now let's go back and see where it went on our resource sheet. So go to resource, or you could have stayed in task, drop down box, resource usage. Okay, so now let's just make sure things are sorted the way we want, earliest to latest. This task we moved to the 26th. And let's walk down here on this top bar. This top gray bar is our resource. And let's see if we have some overallocated tasks. We still do. But we fixed the one here, right? Remember we had an issue there on this time frame, and now we don't. That cleared up because we forced ourselves to level this task over these 2 days. Look, we have another one here. And then you can go so on and move tasks. You can move tasks and schedule things on a certain day. And what you're ultimately doing is changing the constraint. So let's do one more. And I'll touch on this constraint thing. So we see that this section here, which task is it? It is this task. Let's just highlight it here in red. So this task and this task is happening at the same time. So these are both happening at the same time. We need to figure out where to put that or put a constraint to it. It may work or it may not. You know, you really have to work with your teams when you're moving these things and say, hey, if I move this, you know, are we really pushing out the schedule too far, or how does this affect things? You're just looking at it from just strict data, or you know, you can go in here and change these resources to work longer hours. You know, we've had a video on that, but you can change the working times for your resource, or the number of individuals working. But back to staying focused here for this one here in red, we look like we have a bit of availability here on this date, which you can either count, right? This is indicating the 9th, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, or you can change the scaling of this. You can basically, you can either do a time scale to manipulate this a bit. So if we did this, looks like we're not utilizing this top tier, because see, his show tier 2 middle and bottom. So middle tier, see how it's in weeks and the date format is like this in unit of weeks. So if you wanted to see more of it, I believe we can do days. So now you see days are going to be on here. So you're showing 2 tiers, middle and bottom. It's showing the days, and the bottom tier is the unit days. So we're still days, but it's just the unit's different, or the label. So the label is, you know, the date format, the Wednesday 128. You can change that too. Or bottom tier is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, so on. So we click that, we change that. So now we know it's 3/14. That's a Friday. So let's go in here. Let's go back to where our issue was. We were right here. So you can click this and it kind of highlights where you're at. So we're going to move this to another day, and we think that the 14th would be a free day. So we're going to give this a constraint. I just want to make sure you understand. So you're clicking in the task and then click Gantt chart. And you can either pick a date like we did before, the 14th, manually on here, or to kind of understand what you're actually doing, you're adding like a constraint here to must start on, so like that, and then the day being the 14th of March 14. Click OK, and then now that moved that, and we have a must start on constraint, And let's go back to our resource sheet. And then now we can look on our chart and check for this time period around the these date ranges. So we're checking here. Everything looks good. It's all gray. And we're good for that 14th, right? Because we moved that, but then now, it continues. So it's a game you play to level these out and work with your stakeholders to get that leveled or change the working times. And that is resource usage. There you have it. That's how you utilize Microsoft Project resource usage. Like and follow for more content about Microsoft Project and scheduling software.